Today I'm cycling through Ikeshima. An island once fueled by coal, now left behind in silence, where countless ruins still stand as echoes of the past. This is my third time visiting Ikeshima, but this time, for the first time, I brought my bicycle. I've walked around the island on past visits, and somewhere along the way, it became a place I truly grew to love. And lately, I've been wanting to go further, to explore more. And for me, when it comes to adventure, there's nothing that feels more natural than riding a bike. So this time, I chose to explore Ikeshima on 2 wheels. There are cats everywhere on Ikeshima. On the road, in the sunlight. They lie completely flat against the ground. At first, you don't always notice them. If you're walking or riding a bicycle, you eventually spot them. But sometimes I can't help thinking, what if this were a dump truck? What if someone didn't realize it was a cat and just drove right past? That thought makes me feel a little uneasy. To keep a coal mine running on a remote island, a stable supply of electricity was essential. On Ikeshima, some of the coal mined here was burned on the island itself, long before it was ever shipped out, turned into power to keep everything running. This plant was the beating heart of the mine, and at the same time, the lifeline that supported everyday life. Today, the Ikeshima coal-fired power plant stands silent. Its work ended long ago, leaving only rusted pipes and abandoned machinery behind. The crumbling structure feels like a quiet reminder of how much time has passed since this place served its purpose. And yet, this was once the island's core, the center that powered everything and everyone who lived here. Riding through the island again, I realized something. Ikeshima feels like it was carved out of the mountains, and no matter where you go, it's all hills. It hits your legs harder than you'd expect. On a bike, it's tougher than it looks. I've visited Ikeshima twice before, but both times my stay was short. I still haven't made it down to the Sato地区, but this time I have a little more time. For the first time, I'm going to try to reach the Sato地区. Looking at the map, this road sits right along the main route leading to the port and the coal mine. People heading to work, people catching the ferry. Everyone with their own purpose may have once passed through here. At its peak, this must have been a road filled with movement, again and again throughout the day. As soon as you pass through this tunnel, you'll reach what's considered Ikeshima's biggest highlight, the massive apartment complex. The first time I came here, I still remember how excited I felt the moment I stepped out of the tunnel and the buildings began to appear. It was like the atmosphere changed completely. That's the impression it left on me. Behind the Ikeshima Simple Post Office, there used to be a small cluster of shops that supported everyday life on the island. A Western-style restaurant called Monarch, and right next to it, a bowling alley known as Ikeshima Family Bowl. It must have been a rare place on the island, where people could enjoy both dining and entertainment in one spot. At night, the lights of snack bars like A1 and Jano would come on, and it's said that miners would gather here after work, sharing drinks together. I couldn't walk down this road today, but next time I'd like to come back and explore it, following the traces of what this place once was. Ikeshima once had both an elementary school and a junior high school. In the 1970s, when the island was at its busiest, the elementary school had around 800 students and the junior high school had more than 600. 5 classes per grade. The hallways must have been filled with children's voices, and laughter probably drifted out through the classroom windows, carried by the wind. When it came to school trips, it was tradition to walk all the way to the island's golf course. It said the children would take detours, joking around and talking about silly things, enjoying the walk along the island roads. On sports day, families would come out in full force, and the schoolyard would feel like a festival for the entire island. Laughing with friends, sometimes getting into real fights, and those quiet feelings you suddenly notice after school when someone starts to matter to you. All those ordinary moments came together to shape everyday life here. Ikeshima wasn't just an island built for coal mining. It was a place where children grew up, where seasonal events brought excitement, and where irreplaceable memories quietly took root. Memories that would stay with them for the rest of their lives. The 1970s. Around 8,000 people lived on Ikeshima. On this small island, homes were built close together, and to support the growing population, 8-story apartment blocks were constructed. Outside the windows, there were sunsets in the sky, friends playing nearby, and the lively rhythm of everyday life. And yet, beyond that familiar scenery, some children must have imagined distant cities and a world they had never seen. Some grew up knowing nothing but this island. Others may have carried a quiet longing deep inside, a small dream of something beyond the horizon. At dusk, the sound of footsteps returning home, voices and laughter echoing through the stairwells. Somewhere on a balcony, a mother calling out her children's names. And in the living room, a father, back from the mine, perhaps taking a moment to breathe, cigarette smoke drifting into the air. Children's laughter in the distance, the smell of dinner floating through the corridors. In this place, countless families lived their irreplaceable days. And even now, in a place where only the wind passes through, it feels as if a trace of that warmth still remains. This entrance sits on the backside of the second shaft. On the faded sign, you can still barely make out the words "Stay safe" and "Good work." Countless miners must have passed through here, leaving and returning, always greeted and seen off by those same words. Beyond the gate, the path immediately turns into a steep staircase. Some workers apparently hated these stairs so much that they would take a longer route just to use the entrance on the other side. Down the slope with the sea in view, and after a long day's work, back up the steps, looking up at the sky. It feels like you can still sense the breath of the people who once lived and worked along this path. Ikeshima's apartment blocks are slowly being transformed, as if they're being swallowed by vines. They creep across the walls, spill over the stairways, and little by little the buildings disappear into green. Along the empty roads, only cats walk calmly through the silence. as if humans have vanished from the world and nature has quietly reclaimed what was left behind. The coal mine on this island shut down in 2001. At the time, around 2,700 people were still living here. Years have passed since then, and now, in 2026, it's said that fewer than 100 people remain on the island. The apartment complexes that were once full of life have largely become empty. And with the signs of human presence fading away, the cats now roam these streets like the island's true residents. More than once, I turned a corner and found a group of cats gathered together, almost like they were holding a meeting. And when they noticed me, they stared back as if to say, "What is it?" There was something strangely charming about them. In a place that has fallen so silent, they brought a small sense of warmth. It's said that coal miners who worked here once earned more than twice the salary of an average office worker. That income supported families and fueled the island's shops, restaurants, and entertainment, creating the bustle of everyday life. Today, most of the curtains remain closed. But even so, some of these buildings are still lived in. A place that feels abandoned and yet not completely gone. And in the direction of a cat's gaze, it feels like the memory of the island and the people who once lived here still lingers, just barely. Back in the days before video games even existed, I sometimes find myself wondering how the children of Ikeshima used to play. The island is only about 4 kilometers around. For elementary school boys who played outside every day, it probably didn't feel like a very big place. Fishing, playing hide and seek, chasing insects through the grass, swimming in the pool, going bowling with their families. And maybe, just maybe, they even sneaked into the sea for a swim, despite the warnings. Thinking about things like that is one of the quiet joys of walking through this island. For some reason, I've always been drawn to abandoned places. Not just because they're old, not just because they're broken, but because you can feel it. Someone once lived here. There were mornings, there were nights, and countless ordinary days were repeated in this very place. Even though the voices are gone, the scratches on the walls, the faded floors, still hold a quiet trace of human presence. Maybe it's because these places say nothing that they leave room for imagination. The good times and the hard times must have happened here too. The way everything slowly decays feels fragile. And yet, that fragility is exactly what makes it beautiful. At least, that's what I believe. When I was a kid, if I found an alleyway or a steep road that caught my eye, I'd ride straight into it on my bike, for no reason at all. I never knew where it would lead, and somehow that was exactly what made it so exciting. As we grow older, most people seem to lose that impulse. But even now, I still find myself drawn to those roads, the ones that make me wonder what's waiting just ahead. On the eastern side of the island, there's an open slope that stretches along the coastline. There's little to block the view, and the wind and sunlight flow in freely, as if nothing stands in their way. In front of you, all you see is the sea and the sky. This road feels so open that even the presence of the apartment blocks can't seem to reach it. And because the residential area deep inside the island carries such a closed, heavy atmosphere, standing here makes the contrast unmistakable. Even though they're part of the same island, one side holds its memories inward, while the other makes you suddenly aware of the world beyond. And the road continues straight down towards the sea. This is where the chip loaders and conveyor belts once stood. The coal mine here was carried along this line, across the sea, and into the industries that powered Japan. All that remains now is the base that once supported the conveyor system. The noise, the vibrations, the constant rush of work, none of it exists here anymore. Only these structures remain, silent after completing their role, still holding up the weight of countless hours that once passed through this place. Rough concrete left behind without care, and a sea that stretches on, endlessly calm. That contrast quietly reflects what this island has become today. From the 1970s through the 1980s, especially in the 1970s, Ikeshima was at its peak. At its height, the population grew to nearly 8,000 people. And unbelievably, on an island only about 4 kilometers around, even Japan's private car boom reached Ikeshima. Around 600 cars were driving on the island. With so many narrow roads, traffic accidents became a serious problem. It said that signs were even put up along the streets reading, "On a small island like this, where are you rushing to?" This extraordinary level of activity was supported by one thing: coal mining. During the peak years of the 1970s, miners on Ikeshima were said to earn more than twice the income of workers at ordinary companies in the region. There was work, there were schools, there were government offices, a post office, a hospital, and even a fire station. As long as the sea wasn't too rough, life could be completed entirely within the island. But little by little, the times began to change. As imported coal increased and Japan's industrial structure shifted, coal mines across the country were pushed into harsher conditions. Domestic coal production, which had once exceeded 50 million tons at its peak, fell to around 6 million tons by the 1990s. And then came November 29th, 2001. Government support that had sustained the industry eventually came to an end, and the Ikeshima coal mine shut down, having fulfilled its role. Jobs disappeared, people left the island, and the bustling life that once filled Ikeshima quietly faded into the past. There is a place here known as the Ryujin Shrine. Long ago, people believed that a dragon lived in the pond, a pond that is said to have given Ikeshima its name. In ancient times, a large rainbow would sometimes appear stretching between Ikeshima's pond and another pond across the water. It was believed to be a sign that a dragon was living there. And when the sea turned rough and whirlpools formed, people said it meant the dragon was rising up into the sky. The people of the island treated this pond with great respect. There was even a saying, "If you raise cattle, they will fall into the pond and die." Because of that belief, it's said that no one on Ikeshima ever kept cows. few years ago, a coal loading machine called the trimmer still stood here. Now, only the ruins remain. Inside a storage-like building, pachinko machines, probably left here decades ago, still remain exactly as they were. Cracked glass, broken frames, collapsed cabinets. Nothing here was ever cleaned up. It feels as if time itself was simply left behind. This is the Sato地区, Ikeshima's former entertainment district. Near the upper part of the Sato地区, along this short stretch of road, snack bars, pachinko parlors, moneylenders, and inns once lined the street, a lively area that supported Ikeshima's nightlife. It may not come across clearly on camera, but this entire area is built on a steep slope. I can't help imagining how tough it must have been to walk back home at night, drunk, and how easily it could have turned dangerous. And with Ikeshima being a coal mining island, it seems there were plenty of short-tempered people as well. Fights would sometimes break out. A mix of glamour and roughness. The kind of atmosphere you'd expect from an entertainment district. It must have lingered here, all along this hillside road. When I visit the shrine, I try to leave a slightly larger offering. There's no strict rule behind it, but I always make sure it's at least 100 yen. It's simply because I hope it can help, even just a little, with the care and preservation of the shrine. And when I pray, I don't ask for anything. Whether it's New Year's or just an ordinary visit, all I do is give thanks. For example, on New Year's Day, I'll quietly say in my heart, "Thank you for letting me get through the past year safely." I used to pray for many things, work, the future, all sorts of wishes. But now, I simply put my hands together and offer nothing but gratitude.